Here we go. Good, drop and drive. 2, perfect, drop and drive. Get down low, big fella, get down low.
The NBA season right now is on a bit of a standstill as the All-Star break is now here. That means that we're basically halfway through the regular season, postponed games not included obviously, and certain trends are starting to show for both players and teams. And in regards to certain players, it's clear that this season means more to them than past ones, as they've come to play with not just their skills, but their bodies. What do we mean by that? Well, many players have been shocked with how they look now versus how they looked at the end of last season. Allow us to show you 7 shocking NBA body transformations in 2021. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 7. James Harden. We're going to start off this video with easily one of the most important transformations of the season so far, James Harden. Because after yet another disappointing playoff run with the Houston Rockets and some early season issues in regards to the new quarantine protocols, James Harden was not just out of shape, he was mentally checked out. No, not Kyrie Irving levels of checked out, but close. Sure enough, he went and demanded a trade as the new season started, and specifically demanded to go and get traded to the newly empowered, via getting Irving and Kevin Durant, Brooklyn Nets. His wish was granted, and the transformation went on from there. He pushed himself hard to get back into shape, but not just that, he transformed how he played the game from how he did it in Houston. He went from the "I'm shooting all the time" leader of the team to the "I'll distribute the ball to everyone" player that the Nets needed to be a more intense threat. And it's working. Harden is even getting MVP consideration, and it's all because of how he helped reshape his body and his mind. 6. Carmelo Anthony. From a player who's trying to finally break through to another who's honestly gotten a new lease on life in recent seasons, Carmelo Anthony has proven that he's not done yet, despite absolutely being done not too long ago. Because while Carmelo Anthony is a great player in his own right, in his later seasons, especially the ones with the New York Knicks, he was shown to be a very selfish player and one who couldn't help but just shoot for shooting's sake. He bowed out of the league for a while, but then came back as a bench player for the Portland Trail Blazers, and it changed his life for the better. He was able to put aside his ego and make Portland better, including helping them reach the bubble playoffs last season. But when he appeared in play for the 2021 season, people were stunned how slim and muscular Carmelo was. They even argue that he was in the best shape of his entire career, which is really saying something. And this new body is helping him to do dunks and other acrobatics that he never really showed before, even in his early years with the Denver Nuggets. The Trailblazers are 5th in the West right now, and Carmelo's new frame is definitely going to help them going forward. Number 5, Jamal Crawford. At times, people just don't appreciate how good Jamal Crawford is. He's a guy who is not just a constant professional, he's been playing in the NBA for over 20 years. That's not just talent, that's longevity. And also drive, which was proven in the pandemic gap that happened last year. Because for the majority of the 2020 season, Jamal Crawford wasn't signed to a team. Far from it. He was cut by the Phoenix Suns in 2019 and was unsigned through 2020. But then, because of the pandemic and the rise of the bubble playoffs, players as a whole had a choice to make: go and play and finish the season or opt out. For the Brooklyn Nets, they had many players both opt out and be injured, so they went and signed Jamal Crawford as a substitute player. But then he got to play because all the other main players were out. And the reason he was picked was because he knew the potential was there to get back with the league. And as such, he worked his butt off to get into the best shape he could so he could join the Nets and prove he was worth it. And he did just that, or at least for the most part. The bubble experience was great for me, Crawford told me in an email. Getting that call to continue my career was exciting. I enjoyed being around the guys. It was almost like going to basketball camp as a kid, to be honest. Unfortunately, the legendary 3-time Sixth Man of the Year award winner got injured during the first game with a strained hamstring. Didn't get a chance to play after the one game I did with the injury, but overall good experience, he said. Still, the Nets picked him up again for this current season, and he's still going strong and aiming to prove he can still go even at the age of 40. I work on all facets of my game. I love being in the gym, outside, whatever, he said. Challenging my mind, body to be better. I watch a lot of film of myself and others. Never change, Jamal Crawford. Never change. 4. Nikola Jokic. The man known as the Joker was always someone who had the potential to be great, but something was always holding him back, mainly his body. And we don't mean that he's a big dude who can't play. We know he can play. Rather, we're talking about how despite all his talent, Nikola Jokic was never really in shape. And many NBA critics and veterans noted that and tried to encourage him to get into shape, which is exactly what happened when the NBA shut down due to the pandemic, and Nikola took the opportunity to lose some serious weight. How much weight? How about over 30 pounds? Yeah, he came out of the quarantine and into the bubble as a much different man physically. And that showed in grand fashion when he was on the court. He was quicker, more agile, able to do things that his bulky frame would have held him back from doing in the past. He was not only shocking people, he was propelling his team to their first Western Conference Finals since the Carmelo Anthony days. And he's made sure to keep that weight off for this current season, where there's a lot of expectations on the Nuggets to do just as well in the playoffs. If Joker keeps up his regiment, he'll be a dominant force in the league for years to come. 3. Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol is a very special kind of player in the NBA. He spent years being under the radar with the Memphis Grizzlies, but was renowned for his defensive play. Then he went to the Toronto Raptors and helped them win their first NBA title. Fast forward to this season, and you have him with LeBron James on the Los Angeles Lakers. So yeah, this guy gets around. And he knows that to play on a team like the Lakers, he needs to be in the best shape possible. So he's gone and slimmed down a bit to help him be more agile on the court. Which is good because the Lakers are counting on him to come off the bench and be a decisive presence. That feeling is amplified by the fact that Anthony Davis, the Lakers' number 2 player behind LeBron, is currently injured. So there's even more pressure on Gasol to step up and help his team win. 2. Luka Doncic. This one might be more shocking given Luka's MVP level of play this year. But if you look at his body from when the season started, you'll notice that he looked a bit out of shape. And this was only compounded when his coach, Rick Carlisle, went and noted this publicly and said that greatness is a year-long proposition. And while he won't be so bold as to say that Luka's lack of fitness was instrumental in his team's slow start this season, we do think their bounce back was tied to Luka working hard to try and get back into shape. There's a lot of pressure on Luka and the Dallas Mavericks this year, given Luka's out-of-this-world style of play. So, he best be in the best shape ever for him by the time the playoffs come around. And number 1, Zion Williamson. Alongside Luka Doncic, there is a lot of pressure on New Orleans Pelicans player Zion Williamson to step up to lead his team to victory and also prove his talent. His rookie year was fraught with issues, including an early season injury and the pandemic. But fast forward to now, and he's not just slimmed down in terms of body fat, he's bulked up in terms of muscles. And while the Pelicans still aren't the best team around, it's not because of Zion. He's putting up big numbers befitting his massive frame. He's proving that he's worth all the hype and attention, and it'll be curious to see how he is by the end of the season. So, what do you think? What do you think of this look at the NBA and the transformation that certain players have undergone in order to up their game and make themselves a bigger threat? Do you feel that some of these transformations have already had a big effect on the teams they play for? Or do you think the best is yet to come? Did we miss a big NBA transformation from this season so far? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.